Yes, hello.
Oh, yes. Hi, how are you? This is the attorney, Arkady Frekhtman.
Hey, good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. How are you doing? How are you feeling today?
I'm in I guess better spirits, I would say.
Oh, no, I'm sorry to hear that. So, yeah, tell me about what happened. Like, how did you get injured?
So it was August 25th of 2024. The ceiling has been leaking for a while, and I kept calling NYCHA, the property management, to let them know, this is happening. The leaks are getting worse. They're starting to create holes. They kept saying they're gonna send somebody, but they just never did. And I'll
Hmm.
call them. I'll call them constantly every day.
And where is this building
And
located? What county?
it's in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. Okay. And then what happened? Did the ceiling collapse after this?
Yeah, it collapsed on it was a Sunday night around like eight between 8 and 8:30. Yeah.
And which ceiling was it? Which room?
In my bedroom.
Hmm. And how bad was the collapse? Was it just like, how much of this was it the whole ceiling or like
It was pretty much like a quarter of it. Yeah, from the doorway all the way. If we're not talking about let me see, not is it lateral? Lateral is up and down or side to side.
lateral is usually like side to side, but I meant like,
Okay.
yeah, how
So
like was it like when you looked up, you saw a big hole and it was like sheetrock, it was heavy sheetrock that collapsed and fell on
oh
you?
yeah, like literally from the doorway all the way to from lateral to the next side of the bedroom. Like that whole entire piece just came down. It broke the TV, everything.
Yeah, and then it hit you as well. What part of your body did it hit?
Yeah, it hit me in my head, my neck, and my back, like my shoulders. And then when I fell to the ground, I fell on my knees, so I damaged my knees too.
Oh, that's pretty serious. Yeah. And then what type of injuries did you have? Has the doctor given you a medical diagnosis?
Yeah, so I took in MRIs, and I have like tears to my left knee, tears to my right knee. Also, a lateral meniscus and medial, both knees, and ACL.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have tears to both right shoulders, but I think the right and left shoulder, but I think the right was has more tears. Well, did have more tears.
And have you had any type of surgery or are you scheduled to do any type of surgery?
Yeah, we did the arthroscopic surgery on my knee for the medial meniscus, lateral meniscus, and ACL repair.
Is that for both knees or just one of them?
No, I only did my left because I did three surgeries already. So what I'm trying to do now is just continue with my therapy. Because come on, three surgeries for one human being, that's a lot. And
Yeah, that's a lot. And how old are you, by the way? What's your age?
I'm 37 now.
Oh, so you're young, yeah. So wait, so you had the left knee arthroscopic. What else did you have? What was the second surgery?
I did the right shoulder arthroscopic surgery.
Okay. And what was the
And
third?
then I had ACDF in my cervical spine.
Oh, which do you remember which levels you did for the cervical?
I don't remember the exact levels, but I think it was a one level fusion.
Mm-hmm.
Because the disc that was damaged, the disc was actually squished. I guess from the impact pushing down on my head, the disc was squished. So they had to remove that disc and put an artificial disc in there.
Oh wow. So that's pretty serious. That's really serious, yeah. And like what questions did you have or what concerns did you have about the case? Because I know you said you had some questions or
I also did 6 injections, so one each on each knee, and two on my cervical neck and two on my lumbar.
yeah, no, that's pretty serious. I mean, the case should be good. And but by the way, what status is the case in? Like, what's happening with the case now in terms of like, have you had depositions? Is it on the, you know,
My deposition is October 1st.
also your deposition is October 1st. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine. The status that I think that the case is in right now is litigation, where everybody's exchanging evidence.
Okay.
But the situation, why I try reaching out to you is because it seems like the defense has not been trying to answer, and my lawyers had ended up sending two good faith letters to them, saying, hey, we've been requesting these items from you guys, and you guys haven't been responding, whether through text, email, and whether through mail. Like, there's no response. But they finally responded on the 3rd of September, asking for workers' comp information. And my lawyers asked me if I have ever had anything like that, and I said no. I never got injured at a work at a job, so that doesn't exist.
Hmm.
So they still haven't handed over any evidence to us. They're trying to get evidence from us without even giving us what we asked for.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, discovery is always like a two-way street. So they could ask for information, but your attorney also has the right to ask for information. It's not like you have to give them something before you get, it's just like it's always open to both sides. So they can discover prior incidents, workers' comp, medical records, things like that, right? Because if you're claiming an injury, then they're going to want to get medical records from your doctors. But then your lawyer can discover their maintenance, take the deposition of the super, of the porters, get anything like if you complained about the ceiling leaking before, who you complained to, depose those people, or if you have other witnesses like friends or family members, anybody who lives there in the building that knows that you complained, have them sign something like an affidavit or take their deposition. Do you know how long it was from when you complained about the leaking ceiling until the collapse? Like how much time passed?
I can look back at the other phone is in the. So it happened August 25th. I believe I was complaining from like the beginning of August up until that time.
Oh, okay. So almost
I
like a
have all those.
month.
I have all those phone records. I have everything.
Yeah, that's good. So a month. So they had time to fix it. So yeah, you have a good case because that's known as notice. You want to be able to prove notice. It sounds like you can. So yeah, I mean, you have a good case with an ACDF. That could be a big case. Like in Brooklyn, that could be worth that's the main injury. So that could be even a one level. That could be worth like 2-3 million. But you have to like really build it up because you're going up against the New York City Housing Authority. So the way they work is they're very like slow. It's like almost like a city entity. So they go to a city part. So they try to delay. So you have to like make motions if they're not going to give you what you need, have the court like force them to give you whatever you need to prove your case, then put it on the trial calendar, and then you'll get a trial day in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn is a good venue, so yeah, you can get a really good result.
And what I have noticed is, I guess like looking at the docs, like the defense has like requested like I guess all medical bills and what like all the information that they need, I guess, as far as like billing is concerned. So when I added up all the numbers from out of the doc, I think we're sitting at maybe like 1.2 million. And then speaking to the lawyers, they said, that's just like one level, but we didn't get into pain and suffering and so much other things.
Yeah, exactly. So you're entitled to all of them. So what you do is you go after all the different elements of damages. So your future medical costs could be like, because you're only 37. Like I had a 57-year-old and I think he had a one level lumbar and just his future medical costs were like 2.8 million, almost 3 million. Because, there's prescriptions, there's physical therapy, there's adjacent segment disease. So each adjacent surgery, which you may need in like 15 years is like over 100,000. So it all adds up over a lifetime. There's MRIs, physical therapy. So the doctors know how to do that, right? How to itemize all the different costs for the future. And then the economists can extrapolate that and say, hey, this is worth X and reduce it to present value. Or you could also get a life care planner and they'll talk about all the costs. So yeah, so you could, that could be big, that plus the pain and suffering, that's the biggest part of it, because that's the pain and suffering you're going through now. So for that, you have to explain like how it's affected your life, like your work, your social life, what you like to do, whatever you're passionate about, the people in your life, if you have friends, family, how your life was before and how it is now, and maybe get some witnesses from your life to talk about what you were doing before and how your life changed after this, to show that it's a life-changing forever injury, take depositions or at least exchange the names of some of these people, get like photos from like your phone or photo albums, maybe some videos about like what you were doing, so that's like a little bit of a deeper dive, almost like a human story or a biography, and that's your pain and suffering. That's the biggest part of it. But then also if you were working, you get lost wages. So no, you basically want to hit as many categories as you can because, then the jury at trial will give you like, say, past pain and suffering, they can give you, let's say, 1 million. Future, they can give you like 3. Future medicals, they can give you like 2. And then if you have wages, like a lost salary, they can give you whatever that was. And then it all adds up, and then it could be a really big number. And then this attorney that you mentioned, I could do a verdict search and let you know if he's done any jury trials or if he's gotten any results. But I think he didn't really take the case over from the other firm. I think he's just an associate with the other firm. He's just one of the people that works there, according to what I see.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. And then it's crazy. They just told me the other day, because I've been calling them to to say, hey, like, if he's taking it over to potentially go to trial, like, me and him should have like a verbal discussion and get to know each other. I don't even know who this lawyer is, and I found out that he's on maternity leave.
Oh, so he's away now? Maybe his wife gave.
Yeah, he's away at the moment. And the craziest thing with this whole thing is, this happened last year, August, and they just like literally moved me and my family out of the apartment that the ceiling collapsed in into a temporary unit next door, and they put us on the 4th floor. So with all these surgeries that I had this year, that I'm struggling to get up and down these steps every single day.
Oh my God! And they don't have like an elevator? There's no elevator in your building?
No elevator. And then what's happening in this apartment now? It's starting all over again. So it's traumatizing me. The ceiling is leaking. Like even right now, as I'm on the phone with you, the ceiling is leaking. There's a bunch of holes in the ceiling. We have to put pots and pans on the floor to catch water. And they know this because it's been happening for 2 weeks now, and still nothing have been done yet. So I'm literally going through the same thing that I went through last year, which is very traumatizing.
Yeah. No, I did a search on this attorney, the one you mentioned, but unfortunately he only had like one case in 2019, but it was a defense verdict. He got 0. It was like I think it was a $250,000 policy. So they agreed that the injuries are worth $250,000, but there was a dispute about the liability, and then I guess he lost the liability part of it, so then it was 0. But I think he's like, from what I see, like on the website, I think he's fairly like a young lawyer, maybe only for maybe not. I don't know, but I don't think he does that many trials. They might have someone else do the trial. They might have him prepare the case, do the discovery, and then someone else do the trial, which is what a lot of firms do. But the only problem with that is then the person who's going to end up doing the trial is somebody else, right? That they're going to find at the 11th hour, and then that person doesn't really know the case, so they're not going to do as well as somebody who would really get to know you and build the case, from day one. So, that's the only like red flag there.
And like watching you on YouTube, like it's like I want to move this case. I'd rather move this case over with someone that I feel so comfortable with that I didn't even meet yet. But it's like, I already got like loans with these guys because I haven't been working for like a year now. So I had to end up getting, I had to get a sponsors from the loan association that's tied with them. So it's like I don't want to transfer no issues into your law firm,
Oh yeah, well that's okay. No, because loans are like third party, so the loans are not with them. It's just with the funding company, right? So then, if you end up like say firing those guys, hiring a new lawyer, the loans just stay with the case. They're not really loans. The way they work is it's non-recourse. So if you take money, like say you take 10 grand, right? The way it works is you're then giving a piece of your case to that funding company. So then if the case is resolved, let's say for $1 million, so that 10 grand might jump and not be 10 anymore. It might be 20 or 30. So you just have to pay back the 30 to the funding company. But it doesn't matter who your lawyer is. You know what I mean? It's nothing to do with the lawyer. It's just the lawyer is entitled to 1/3 of whatever they recover. So for example, if the case settles for $1 million and you have these guys, they just take $300,000. But if you end up getting a second lawyer, what happens is it's still $1 million, right? You still get $700,000, but now the $300,000 has to be shared. So they might say, well, we did X amount of work. So out of the 300, we want like 100 or 150. And then the second lawyer might say, but I did this additional work, depositions, trial, so that I want, and then they just agree among themselves how to split up the 300. So, but it doesn't really affect you because you still keep the 700, and then the loans are different. The loans are like you just have to pay back to the funding company based on whatever's in the contract. So if it's like if they gave you 10, 10 could become 20. It'll say usually a lot of the firms are using funding companies that cap. Because if it's uncapped, 10 could become 100. You don't want that. So usually they'll cap like 20, 30, and then do you know how much you borrowed so far approximately?
I think I borrowed a hefty penny, probably like 40,000.
Oh,
It wasn't all at one time though. It's just like periodically.
Yeah, so that should be okay. It should cap at like 80, maybe a little more, like 100, but it shouldn't really affect you too much because the case could be big. The good thing against the housing authority is that there's no cap, you know what I mean? So like if it was a private building, they might only have $1 million and then there's no more beyond the $1 million. But with the housing authority, it's actually like unlimited. So you could go to court and hit them for like 6 million, 7 million, and they'll have to pay you that. If you have the proof that it's worth that, you know what I mean? So that makes it good, but it just takes time. So yeah, they have to really get the document discovery, get depositions moving, really like fast track it. That's the only like thing, and that firm I mean, they have a lot of cases, but I think they mostly do like smaller cases, like more volume settling cases, getting cases from like physical therapists or like chiropractors. They're not really known as a trial firm. So I'm thinking like on a case like this, they're probably going to farm it out to someone else to do the trial. But like I said, they'll do it at the 11th hour. So then the guy will have to be like, oh, I have to learn the file. You know what I mean? Kind of like cramming for a test. I have to learn the file like tonight and I have to go to court tomorrow. So it's not going to be the best for you. You probably would be better for you to have somebody like really build it up, do a full like biography, human story, get all these like life care planners, experts, to then be able to go to court and and say, look, this is worth 5 million or whatever this is worth. And then if they don't pay it, then say, okay, then we're going to go to trial. Then it's going to be, give them a deadline, like say, pay me 5 million within 30 days. But if you don't, then when we go to trial, it'll be 7, and really put fear into them and say, look, we're ready to go to court. Then they're going to either pay more or you'll be able to actually go to court and get a big result. You know what I mean? So I think that's better. But ultimately it's up to you. I mean, I think it's still early too. If you haven't even had your deposition, it's still early. Your deposition is in October.
Yeah, I do that deposition on October 1st.
October 1st, yeah. So you could either like if you don't want these guys, you could either switch before. The deposition probably would still go like October 1st. Maybe it would go, October 10th, like a few days. Or you could do the deposition and then switch after that. It's up to you. Or you could stay with them. Obviously it's all your choice. But those are the only like red flags I'm seeing, because if it was just like say the arthroscopic surgery, I would say you don't necessarily need to even switch, because they might be able to get you like 150, 200. But with the fusion, you don't want them to lowball you with the fusion like that, especially with the housing authority. You want to be able to really get the maximum value.
And the funny thing is the head lawyer, which is Mark, he had a fusion, so he knows exactly what I'm actually going through.
Yeah. No.
He knows exactly what I'm going through.
Right. And do you speak to him? Does he like speak with you or not really?
Unless I call them, I don't hear from them. Yeah, like I said, I have the docket here, so I would just refresh it and see that things are going forward. But the last things I didn't like was that my lawyers kept sending like the second or third good faith letter requesting information from them because they're not answering. So it's like, if you guys are just going to keep sending good faith letters, or you're gonna try to put in some motions to get this thing moving, because we want them to respond,
Yeah, of course. No, they got to make a motion, and just like if they're not going to respond, then you have to get the court to order it and just take depositions and get documents. Because yeah, a case like that, I mean, it's pretty simple. A ceiling collapse, you have photos of the ceiling, right? I don't know if they hired like an expert, somebody who's like a safety expert to talk about, hey, this is improper. They should have fixed this leak. It was obvious this leak was going to turn into a collapse. Things like that. It's just common sense kind of stuff. Sometimes we get an expert, but even without an expert, just the photos showing that it was like actual sheetrock that fell, and you have your doctors, like your surgeon, to talk about causation, that it caused the need for the ACDF and other surgeries. And then you're pretty much good. It's not too complicated. You just want to put it on the calendar quickly, and then really prepare it and have these like witnesses. Like you mentioned, you have like a family, right? So like whoever could testify, like do a little bit of a deep dive into you, what's important to you, your family, your friends, all these things. Like that's really, I think, where the value is going to come from, because then you can show to the jury, hey, this is a real person, this is what they were like before, this is what they're like now. And then the jury feels like empathy towards you, because they say, hey, they could see themselves, right? They could say, hey, this is like my family, this could be my family, and then they want to give you compensation to make you whole. But if they don't do any of that, if they just come in and they say, okay, somebody got hurt, and they start talking about medical records, nobody really understands what that is. They start talking about C3, C4, and they're like, what is that? What is, and then what the defense does is says, oh, this person's like trying to win the lawsuit lottery, they're greedy, they're trying to turn this into a payday, and then people are like, oh, maybe that's true, and then they start, now it's like a completely different case, and then they can give you less money or nothing, so that's what you want to avoid. You want to really be able to tell that, like, I think the human story and the biography is really critical.
So, but besides that, while I was operating my own mobile detailing company, so I have been out of doing that because of my injuries. Besides that, I'm also a performing artist. So before this accident, I was performing on stage, dancing. I have videos and proof of me being a dancer, like on the microphone, singing in front of thousands of people. Like, this is my life. And now all of that has come to a halt because my body doesn't operate the same way it did before. There's so much to my story, and it's like,
right, they don't even know. And how are they going to produce you for a deposition? Because like one of the things to do at the deposition would be to talk about that. Like I have like a whole 13-page list of activities, and it goes into things like that, like what you mentioned, like things that you love to do, including work, like the performances or the detailing company, but also things like how you spend, Thanksgiving, how you spend Christmas, what you do on your birthdays, what you cook. It's really detailed. And then once you check off what you can't do that you used to do, then I always ask people to think of either a moment in time or think of a story that relates to that. So then you kind of, jot that down, and we work together to like give you like pieces of like stories that you could talk about at your deposition. Then it gets preserved in the deposition transcript, but then, you also can say even more later at trial. So we do like a whole prep. That's really critical, I think, because then it becomes a really powerful, like for example, like if you're performing, so you probably know other artists, right? Other people that you worked with. So you get a few of you don't have to do their depositions, but at least exchange their name and address, so you could then use them at trial. Because if you don't exchange their name and address, you can't even use them. They can't come to court, and surprise the defendants. So you got to do that, and then maybe get some videos, exchange the photos of you performing. Because if you don't exchange that, then you can't use the photos. You know what I'm saying? And then if they're not doing any of that, then they're doing it the old school, boring way, where they're just going to come in and say, this guy got hurt and we don't know anything about him, and then no one's going to care. And then, so you want to be able to get somebody who's going to tell your story. I think that's critical.
Yeah, that's the big part about it for me, man. Like, even now, like I'm talking to you, if I turn my neck, because I just did the ACDF, I think in March. So if I turn my neck certain ways, I could feel the radiation through my spine, like up and down my spine, like turning or shifting certain ways. So it's like I have to go through this constantly every single day. Like I have a 5-year-old daughter, like I can't pick her up the way I want to. I guess, like I said, my story is very powerful, and just watching my lawyers for a year now, it's like y'all don't even know my story of this whole thing, of how it really affects me every day.
Yeah, and you said you're not even speaking to the lawyer, right? Like for a year and a half, you haven't really spoken to him, so that's a big red flag too, So Yeah, I mean, like, think about it. If you wanted like me to help, I could help you with the case, and I would definitely do like a deeper dive. I could even come to your house, sit down with you, find out about you. I'd like to take my own photos, videos, but then also I have a whole like outline that I use for like, how to do a biography, and then I would also get people from your life, like friends and family members, interview them. So it would be much more powerful.
Without my story, how can you actually throw a good number for pain and suffering if you don't know what I'm going through?
Right, exactly. That's my point. You want to talk about that, but also like even the 1.2 million, it's not really accurate because in order to really know just even the medical costs, you need the doctors to say what you need, like MRIs, prescriptions, how many surgeries, physical therapy, how many times a week, the cost of each, right? And it has to be in the community where you live. So if you live in Brooklyn, what's the cost in Brooklyn? And there are certain like doctors that know all this, and they'll write that in a narrative, and then the economist will then write a whole report. So it could be bigger. Like I was saying, like I had a case where a guy was like 57 or 58 and he had 2.8 million in future, and he had a one level like you. So I think yours could be even higher. So that has to be done though. You have to get that expert and have the experts do all that, and then you have to exchange it under 3101D, which is an expert exchange.
That's the whole thing with me, man. Like I'm not even trying to strike a lottery ticket. It's like I went through something that literally changed who I am. So yeah, like I would love to be compensated for what I'm currently going through, what I went through. I don't want someone to run in and say, "Oh, let's make a quick buck off this kid." No, like I want it to properly be done and sought through the entire way because it's just life changing. Like I can't operate the way I used to. I feel like if someone was to like confront me in a fight, I feel like my body would just fall apart if I get hit. Like that's how I feel walking around.
No, of course, because you had a major injury. But the main thing is that like the entire firm, they don't really do trials. They're more like, I know this firm that they get a lot of cases and they settle them. It's almost like one of those factories that gets a lot of small cases and just settles. So, but you don't want that because that's going to be, it's not going to be a good result. So I think a case like this, you need a trial attorney. But I'm thinking what they're going to do, just because if they don't have the trial attorneys, they're going to farm it out to someone else. Probably they work with an outside firm. But like I said, that's going to be at the 11th hour. And then by then, they're not going to be able to get like witnesses from your life, any kind of biography, any kind of human story. They might not even be able to get the life care planner or economist because it might be too late. So then it'll just be like, go try this tomorrow, kind of like go cram, and then it's not going to be the best result because a case like this needs to be prepared. It takes like months and months, if not, years to build it up the right way for the maximum. But it definitely has potential. I mean, that's what I was saying. I would even be happy to help you if you wanted because I think it has potential. It could be a big one.
I'm definitely leaning towards you because, like I said, like I watch you every day on YouTube, man, and I just like how you articulate yourself and you present yourself to the people. Like it's not a money thing for you. Like you really want the best for the client.
No, absolutely. I want to do like get you the maximum. Yeah, and that's why I do the whole biography and do like a deep dive. Like I would really get into that in depth, like the performing. You said it was dancing and performing with thousands of people. So we want to, because that goes to both the wages, whatever you made for that, but more importantly, it goes to like your quality of life, right? Because if you're doing that, then it's a certain certain activity, and then you have that, and then you lose that. That has a certain value too. Losing like your passion, losing what you love to do, and then you also had your own company, and you said you can't pick up your daughter. So this is just I'm already seeing a lot of themes, that you could really build on to make it a really big case. But yeah, I'm just surprised they're not pursuing any of that because that's like the heart of the case, really. And then like liability, like I said, I don't think it's going to be too complicated. With a ceiling collapse, you complained about it. You just have to depose the super, serve some discovery demands on them. They're going to have to provide all that information.
Yeah, the defense even switched out their lawyers too. They got a different lawyer.
Yeah, I see that. Now, the next conference is January 22nd of 2026. It's just a compliance conference to make sure that everything was complied with that was supposed to be done. And then once that's done, then, hopefully if everything gets done, then at that point you can file what's known as a note of issue, and then you certify the case as trial ready, and then it gets moving and it goes on the trial calendar. But with a NYCHA case, you still might have to wait a little bit, but it may be like another year after that, but then you get a trial date and you keep putting pressure on them. You could send settlement letters, you could see if they want to do a mediation, you could show them everything, like I have my subpoenas, I have my future medicals, my lost wages, my future pain and suffering could be so big, because you said you're only 37 now, right? But people live on average to be like, what, 83, 84. So you're talking about close to like, what was that, 46, 47 future years. That's like a huge, that could be a huge future wage, just future pain and suffering claim. Because, fusion, you're going to need an adjacent segment. Because, for example, like, if you had it at C5, C6, well, then you might need another one at C4, but then another one at C7, right? At the adjacent levels, at the next levels. So then that goes to future pain and sufferings. That's 2 more surgeries, and then it just gets worse with time. Plus the brain injury. Like I know how to do the brain injury cases, so the brain gets worse with time as you get older, into your 50s, 60s. So that could be huge, just because you have like almost close to 50 years of future pain and suffering. So that's a big thing too. That's a huge component of it.
So switching over to you, like since we're a year in, would that make any major delays, or that would be like maybe like another 4 years?
No, I don't think it would really delay anything, because the switching process is simple. Basically, if you sign up with us, then we send them a letter. We say, hey, stop work, transfer the file to us. So they transfer the file, we get the file. And then we basically just, once we have the file, we just review it. We could do the deposition. It might not be October. It might even be October 1st. If we need a little more time, it might be like October, a few days, like October 7th or October 10th. And then, we do the depositions of the defendants, and then we get whatever documents we need. I also do like this other thing known as like corporate representative deposition. So I'd probably say, hey, here are the topics we want to talk about: how you respond to complaints, how you deal with safety. And actually, I have a lot of dirt on NYCHA, because they were actually fined by the federal government, and they entered into the stipulation, and I have all those documents, because they were actually not being safe and not fixing like ceilings and other issues. And then when the inspectors came, they actually like hid stuff. So I have a lot of like dirt on them that I could use. That's public information from the federal court. There's a federal stipulation, because they were going to lose their federal funding, unless they resolved all these issues. So I can go through that, add that to the case. So there's a lot of ammunition basically against NYCHA. So so I don't think it actually could speed up things, because once you do that, once you ask them to produce like a corporate representative, then whatever that person says becomes the official policy of NYCHA. So if they say, oh, we don't know, or we didn't respond, that becomes their official policy. So that could be very powerful on liability. And then, so yeah, no, I don't think it would really be delayed. It might even be sped up, because it seems like these guys are just kind of, because they've had the case for a while, right? They've had it for like the whole year, and it doesn't seem like they've done too much with it. So I would want to get documents, corporate rep depositions, and then put it on the calendar as quickly as possible. And then, once it's on the calendar, now you're just waiting for that trial date, but we still have to do subpoenas. That's when we can do the expert exchanges, get the life care planner, get the, updated medical narratives about all the future medical costs, and exchange all that. And then and then they see all this happening, right? That's how I did it in the other case that I settled for 3.1 million. We kept serving that, and then they see it happening. It keeps hitting like the nice of, hey, this is being served, this is being served. So then they see, hey, we have this expert, we have that expert, and then because originally, like, even in that case, they were trying to pay like, I think 100 something thousand, 140. But then when they see all these experts, and wait a minute, and this guy's saying it's, future medicals are like 2 million, and you have the neurologist, because the brain injury is a big thing too. That has to be worked up. I'd want to see all those meds and what you have, because I know how to work those up. So if you need additional treatment with like a brain injury doctor, I could maybe you could use the same one you have, or I could send you over to the ones that I know. I know a bunch of different ones, but really good ones. Do you remember, was your brain injury doctor, was he in Brooklyn or was he in Queens or Manhattan?
Yeah, he's in Brooklyn. Or I think it was on Flushing Avenue.
Okay. Okay, so I could review what you have because there's a lot of different things with brain injury. It's kind of like, you know, it's hard to explain everything. I have to see what's in there, but it sounds like you have, if you have the goods on brain injury, then that could make it a completely different case because that's even bigger, right? Because depending on what there was, because there could be like a DTI, like a diffusion tensor imaging, there could be like an MRI of the brain that found something, or there could be other types of testing that they do, like neuroquants. I want to see specifically, because the BP they do also isn't really specific. They just said you had a fusion. They just said you have a brain injury, but you can't really do that. You have to say specifically what was found by the neurologist, because if you just say there's a brain injury, but you don't put, like, for example, what the actual findings were on the diffusion tensor imaging or on the, the MRI, then the judge could preclude you and say you can't claim brain injury because this was never exchanged. So, but that's what I saw on the BP. It just said like TBI, but that's too general. You have to specifically plead everything and exchange everything.
So how do you feel about that? When I tell you, like, different times that the lawyer kept saying, don't talk to no one because I'm pretty sure he wants his case for himself. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think when they say that, like, don't talk to anyone, I think what they're basically saying is, don't, I don't know if he meant like, don't talk to other lawyers. I mean, you have the right to talk to other lawyers, right? You have the right to hire a lawyer of your choice. Just like if you go to one doctor and you think, okay, he seems okay, but I'm not sure about him. But then if you have something like where your medical condition is serious and you really need the best care, then you say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go to the best doctor. I'm going to go to someone else. It's your right. But I think he meant maybe don't talk because like the insurance company could be calling you, or NYCHA could be sending an investigator, and then you don't want to give any statements because then they could use those statements against you. So I think that he meant more like don't talk to NYCHA or don't talk to their representatives, things like that. But yeah, in terms of, it's your case, so you could basically do whatever you feel is best with it.
So do I have to go to any new doctors or any new therapy places, or where I'm at, where I'm currently going to, it's all fine?
I think like you could probably stay where you are. I'd have to look at, I mean, with regard to the fusion, it's already done. So you could probably stay where you are. It would probably use, of course, the surgeon. And then same thing for the knee and the shoulder. The only thing, I'd have to look at the brain injury meds. Maybe I might tweak it. If he doesn't have enough, I'd maybe get you over to either use your existing neurologist, but maybe get you also a neuropsychologist. Have you seen a neuropsych? Have they asked you like where you answer certain questions or,
I went to a neurologist once. Yeah, they told me that I was supposed to get, I guess, a video phone call, but then they changed it to an in-person, I think this month. But what they did when I was there was they put something on my head, like it was so much attachments, like all over my body and my head, like everywhere. And then they were, I guess, reading my wave cells, my waves, whatever you call those things.
Okay, yeah.
And then they put like a paper in front of me with like words on it. It's like 5 words or 6 words, and then they moved it, and then it was like, tell us the words that's on the paper. And
oh, okay, so that might have been. Oh, right. So that might be neuropsych. That's probably neuropsych. So yeah, we could see your neuropsych. If your neuropsych is good and they've testified in court and they've gotten like big verdicts, you could stay with them. But if they're not good, if they don't really go to court, I could get you over to a better neuropsych. Like the case I just did, we had a great neuropsych. She was like so smart and she knew everything. So you could go over to her. I think the one I used in the last case, they were out of Queens. So it's pretty close to Brooklyn, and they're really good. The neurologist is good, the neuropsych was good. And then also the neuroradiologist, if you had like a brain MRI, you want the neuroradiologist to come in and talk about the findings on the MRI with the DTI and the neuroquant or whatever other tests they do. Have you had a brain MRI?
I believe so. I honestly can't remember to tell you, to be honest. Okay. I told you, like, it's hard to remember a lot of things.
Yeah, we could take a look at that. If you haven't had one, we can get one done. That's not a problem. Yeah, so no, think it over. And then like, if you need me to send you, it's easy. You just let me know and I could send you an email with a link and you basically just fill it out. It's really quick. It's like you fill out a little bit of information, you sign it, And then once we get the signature, then we could send them a letter and they could transfer the file to us. And then we just continue with it. It might take like, a week or a few days for them to send the file. We pay their expenses. If they haven't even spent any money. They probably spent $200 to file a lawsuit, and whatever they spent to the doctors to get your medical records, like $30 here, $70 there. They haven't even really hired any experts. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. But yeah, I'm happy to help you with it. And then yeah, I don't think it would really take too long. Like we can fast track it.
If you're the one that's dealing with this case, then I would be more than happy.
Yeah, no, I would do it. I would do it myself. Yeah, absolutely. And we have a whole team. We have like 25 people. So it's me. We have 3 different teams. So I'm on a team with, actually, it's the chief operating officer of our firm, and she also helps with like trial prep. She's like a paralegal, but she's been with us for like over 30 years. She's like really good. She's like our office manager, chief operating officer. So she's on my team. And also I have another attorney that assists me. And then we have some paralegals. So it's like 3 or 4 people. We have a litigation team, and then we have like 2 more teams like that. And we have about 25 people altogether. But you'd be on my team. I'd handle it myself, and and they would just help me with some small things like getting medical records and sending letters. They help me, but they're really good. So yeah, no, we would really I think hit a home run on this for sure.
I think I'm ready, man. Because like I said, but since my year in this situation, I literally been watching you every day on YouTube, and it's just like, oh, hold on one second, it's right there on the light. Yeah, see, the NYCHA people just came to look at the leaks that's going on in the temporary apartment that I'm at.
Oh, so there's a leak in a different apartment. There's a leak again. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, so remember I told you that they moved me to a temporary apartment, and I'm having the same issues like all over again. So that it's like traumatizing me at the same time.
Yeah, I know. So that could be like, yeah, no, for sure. You could add that to that could be part of the TBI case if there's any diagnosis of like PTSD or TBI. That could be part of the emotional or psychological damages. No, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, we would build all that up. So yeah, just let me know. Like, you just text me. I'll give you my email. I mean, I'll send you an email. If you give me your email, I'll send you that link. It's really quick. It would probably take you like 10 minutes to fill it out. We have like our whole intake team that could help you fill it out. And then once we get that, then we would just send them a letter. The only important thing is if they end up calling you and saying, "Oh, don't leave," or come back, just don't speak to them, because at that point you don't want to become like a ping pong ball going back and forth. So once you make the decision,
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, will they call me once they get that letter from you?
I mean, they're not supposed to call you. It's actually like unethical, because in the letter it says, "Hey, I've terminated your services. I have a new attorney. Please don't call me. Call only my attorney." But some people, they just get upset, whatever. Oh, why are you leaving? So they want to call you and just like try to get you to come back. But it's better probably not to speak to them, because they could make up some baloney, or I don't know what they're going to say. But you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense, because if they haven't been helping you that much so far and it's been this long, and it's better to just not respond, and then they know, okay, there's no way we're going to get this person back. They're not even responding to us. So then they just send us their expenses, which is going to be like, a few $100s. We pay it, we get the file, and then we just like fast track everything and get everything moving, get your deposition, defendant's depositions, documents, put it on the calendar. That's the key thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to help you. Yeah, just let me know, and then I'll get that over to you. I could have my intake team even send it to you today, and then you just fill it out like later today, over the weekend, Monday, and then we can get the letter over to them. They get me the expenses, I get the file. I could review the file quickly and just keep your deposition for like October 1st or maybe shortly thereafter, so nothing gets delayed. Okay, I'll get that sent over today, and then yeah, we'll get everything moving, and and then you could always like text me, and we could always do another call, like anytime. I'll just make myself available. I'll give you my cell phone. Actually, this is like one of my this number goes to my cell phone, so we could always talk or text, whatever you prefer, and then yeah, we'll stay in touch, and I'll start doing this deep dive as soon as I get the file and build it up, because yeah, I think that's definitely the right choice. Because see, if you have the ACDF and the TBI, you really need like a lawyer that understands that, because that could be built up and it could be a monster case. It could be a really big case, because these guys, I don't think they do. Not a lot of lawyers do TBI, and these guys, I'm pretty sure they don't. So, Because I could see, because you can't write in a BP just TBI. You have to put specific findings of what was found, and otherwise it'll just get precluded, and then you lose that valuable claim completely. That'll be terrible. So okay, so thank you so much for reaching out. So I'm glad that we spoke, and I'll send that out to you today, and then we'll stay in touch. And I hope you feel better. All the very best, and no, we'll do a great job for you.
I'll be waiting for the link to come. I'll definitely fill it out to my best abilities right now, and hopefully we can get this journey going and the finish line. We can shake hands and tell each other thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Okay, thank you so much. I hope you feel better, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll start working on this.
Thank you, man. Have a good day. I'll be waiting.
Okay, bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon. Well, so as you can see, this is a serious case. This particular gentleman, only 37 years old, had a massive ceiling collapse where he was severely injured. He had surgeries to his left knee. He had both knees with torn meniscuses and an ACL injury. He had a right shoulder surgery, but most importantly, he had an anterior cervical discectomy and fusion in his neck, which is instrumentation and screws going into the vertebra in the neck, a major spinal surgery. So this is a life-changing forever injury. He has a 5-year-old daughter, he's married, he had a business detailing as well as being a performer in front of thousands of people. So it's economic damages, salary losses, it's future medical costs, which could be into the millions, and it's also pain and suffering. And it seems like, the lawyers handling the case aren't really trial attorneys. Like the person handling it has like one case and it's zero result, and it just doesn't seem like they're doing a good job. He's not speaking to them at all. So what I want to do is take the case, review the file, and do like a deep dive into everything, especially the traumatic brain injury, which he told me about towards the middle or end of the consultation. That could be a huge component. That could actually, 3x or even 5x the whole value of the case. So it's important to really be able to be knowledgeable and understand all these things, and then you build up the case like piece by piece and get the maximum value for the client, which is what I want to do for him. Especially being 37, he's got like, people are living to like 83, 84, and it's right in the statistical averages in the pattern jury instructions, and that's what the judge instructs the jury. And so they'll say, give them an amount for the next like 46 years, right? So 46 years of living with a brain injury, of having this massive spinal surgery. I mean, even if, let's say, conservatively, somebody thinks this is only worth like something low, like 100,000, like a year, right? Nobody would agree to have a brain injury or have a massive spinal surgery that then requires additional surgeries for 100,000 a year. But let's say, that's the amount. But by 46 years, just that is 4.6 million, right? Almost 5 million, just that. And what about all the other? So that's what I like to do, is look at all what's available under the law and just maximize everything. So that's what I want to do for this particular gentleman. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Let us know what questions you have. Let us know how we could help. We are here. Our goal is helping serious injury victims and families. And please like and subscribe to our channel. And I hope this was helpful. Okay, everyone. Bye-bye.